Hello, gentle listener. You're safe here, wherever you are, and whatever hour it is where you rest tonight. Let us drift, together, to a quiet village in the English countryside, somewhere in the rolling hills of the Midlands, perhaps, in the early 1300s. Not a castle. Not a battlefield. Not a king's hall. But a small, unremarkable place, where life moves with the seasons, not the clock. Where smoke curls from thatched roofs in the morning mist. Where chickens scratch in the dirt, and a child hums while feeding the geese by the stream. This is a story of ordinary people, farmers, weavers, mothers, bakers, whose lives were shaped not by great events, but by the quiet rhythm of daily effort, tending the soil, mending clothes, gathering firewood, saying prayers by candlelight. Their struggles were not dramatic. They were slow, steady, woven into the fabric of each day, like the threads in a homespun tunic, worn soft with time. And tonight, you are invited to walk among them. Not as a visitor. Not as a scholar. But as someone who simply wants to be still. So if you'd like, you can press like, or subscribe to Wisdom Life, quietly, gently, when you wake. Or leave a comment, someday, saying where you listened from, and what time it was there. But for now, none of that matters. Just let your eyes close. Let your breath slow. Let the weight of the day settle into the earth beneath you. Feel your body soften, like soil warmed by the sun. Feel your thoughts drift, like leaves carried by a quiet stream. There is nothing to solve here. Nothing to remember. Nothing to do. You are not alone. You are here, with me, in this moment, in this village, where time moves slowly and the air is thick with peace. And as the fire flickers in the hearth of a cottage 8 centuries away, as the wind brushes through the tall grass beyond the field, as the stars blink softly above the thatched roofs, we begin. Part 1, Dawn in the Village, the first light and the first tasks. The first light of morning arrives not with a sudden burst, but as a slow softening of the dark, like milk poured into water, spreading gently across the sky above the village. The air is cool and still, carrying the faint scent of damp earth and last night's wood smoke, lingering in the thatch and the stone walls. There is no rush to rise, no bell to mark the hour, only the quiet knowing that the world is waking, and so it is time to join it. In a small cottage near the edge of the common field, an old man stirs beneath a thick woolen blanket, his breath slow and even, his body remembering the rhythm of decades lived in this same place. He opens his eyes, not suddenly, but gradually, as if greeting the day through a veil of dreams. He lies still for a long moment, listening, to the soft breathing of his wife beside him, to the faint creak of the roof settling, to the distant call of a rooster from a farm down the lane. The fire in the hearth has burned low, only a few embers glowing red beneath a thin layer of ash. He shifts slowly, pulls the blanket tighter around his shoulders, and sits up, his joints creaking like the floorboards beneath him. He does not hurry. There is no need. The day will unfold as it always does. He reaches for his woolen tunic, folded neatly on a wooden chest, and pulls it over his head, the fabric soft from years of washing and wear. His wife stirs again, murmurs something unintelligible, then turns toward the wall, drawing the blanket up to her chin. He smiles faintly, then steps barefoot onto the packed earth floor, the chill rising through his soles, grounding him in the moment. He crouches by the hearth, carefully brushes away the ash, and adds a few small sticks of dry kindling. He blows gently on the embers, one breath at a time, until a small flame flickers to life, casting a warm, dancing light across the walls. The fire grows slowly, steadily, like a heartbeat returning after rest. He adds a larger log, then sits back on his heels, watching the flames rise, feeling their warmth on his face. Outside, the sky is now a pale gray, the stars fading one by one. A cow lows in the distance. A dog barks, then falls silent. He stands, walks to the small window covered with oilcloth, and peers out. The village is still mostly asleep, but smoke begins to curl from a few other chimneys, thin trails rising into the still air. He opens the door quietly, steps outside, and takes a deep breath. The morning air is crisp, clean, carrying the scent of grass and dew. He looks up at the sky, watches a single bird glide across the clouds, wings outstretched, silent. He does not speak. He does not need to. The world is speaking to him in its own quiet way. He walks to the woodpile, picks up an axe, and begins to split a log. The sound is soft, rhythmic, the thud of the blade, the crack of the wood, the rustle of the split pieces falling to the ground. Each motion is deliberate, unhurried. His hands know this work by heart. He does not think about it. He simply does it. After a few minutes, he stops, leans on the axe, and wipes his brow with the back of his hand. The sun is now just above the hills, casting long shadows across the fields. A neighbor passes by, leading a goat on a rope, and nods. The old man nods back. No words are exchanged. None are needed. They are both here. They are both awake. That is enough. Inside the cottage, his wife has risen now, wrapped in a shawl, and is stirring the pot hanging over the fire. She adds a pinch of salt, a few dried herbs from a cloth bag. The smell of onions and barley begins to fill the room. She hums a tune, low and wordless, something she has hummed every morning for 30 years. Her daughter, a girl of 10, sits on a stool, braiding her hair with slow, careful fingers. The fire crackles. The pot simmers. The day has begun, not with a start, but with a breath. And you, listening, can feel it too, the quiet unfolding, the gentle return of light, the comfort of routine. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to be anywhere. You can simply be here, in this moment, in this village, where time moves slowly and nothing is demanded of you. Just listen. Just breathe. Let the morning settle around you like a warm blanket. Let your thoughts slow, like the turning of the millstone down the lane. There is no past here. No future. Only this dawn, this fire, this breath. And it is enough. The girl finishes braiding her hair and ties it with a strip of wool, the same color as her dress, faded from many washings. She stands, stretches her arms above her head, then walks to the door, where her wooden clogs wait. She slips her feet into them, the wood smooth and shaped by her steps, and steps outside into the morning light. The dew is heavy on the grass, soaking into the hem of her dress as she walks toward the chicken coop. She carries a small wooden bowl, cracked at the rim, filled with leftover barley from last night's meal. The chickens scatter as she approaches, clucking softly, pecking at the ground. She scatters the grain in a wide arc, watching them dart forward, wings flapping, their red combs bobbing with each step. A rooster struts nearby, his feathers catching the light, iridescent in the cool air. He crows once, not loudly, but with a kind of quiet authority, as if reminding the world that he is still here, still watching. The girl smiles, then turns and walks toward the well at the center of the village. The path is worn smooth by years of footsteps, lined with daisies and clover. She passes an old woman kneeling by her garden, pulling weeds from between the rows of cabbages and leeks. The woman does not look up, but her lips move in silent prayer, or perhaps just in habit. The girl nods to her, though she is not sure if the woman sees. At the well, she lowers the bucket, hears it splash below, then slowly turns the crank, the rope creaking with each rotation. The sound is rhythmic, almost musical, like a lullaby played on an old instrument. She pours the water into a clay jug, then carries it back to the cottage, walking slowly to keep from spilling. Inside, her mother takes the jug, pours some into a pot, and sets it to warm over the fire. The old man returns from the woodpile, his arms full of logs, and adds them to the stack by the hearth. He sits on a stool, pulls on his leather boots, lacing them slowly, each loop tied with care. His hands are rough, the skin cracked in places, but they move with a quiet precision, like tools worn smooth by time. He takes a piece of bread from the table, dips it in a bowl of goat's milk, and eats it slowly, savoring each bite. There is no hurry. There is no rush. The sun climbs higher, warming the eastern wall of the cottage, where a spider has spun its web between two beams. The threads glisten with dew, trembling slightly in the faint breeze that slips through the window. The girl sits by the fire, warming her hands, watching the flames dance. Her mother wipes the table with a damp cloth, then folds it and places it beside the bowl. The old man finishes his bread, wipes his mouth with the back of his hand, and stands. He picks up his walking stick, carved from a hazel branch, smoothed by years of use, and walks to the door. He pauses, looks back at his wife, and nods. She smiles, just slightly, and returns to her work. He steps outside, breathes in the morning air, and begins to walk toward the fields. His footsteps are slow, steady, each one placing firmly on the earth. The village is now more awake, smoke rises from several chimneys, a child laughs somewhere down the lane, a dog trots past, tail wagging. But still, there is no urgency. The day will take as long as it needs. The girl stays by the fire, her eyes growing heavy, her breath slowing. She is not tired. She is simply at peace. And you, listening, can feel it too, the deep calm of a morning lived without haste, without noise, without demand. You can feel your body relaxing, your mind softening, like the soil warming under the sun. There is nothing to fix. Nothing to change. Nothing to prove. You are here, in this quiet moment, in this forgotten village, where life moves at the pace of breath, of heartbeat, of firelight flickering on a wall. And as the old man walks toward the field, as the girl closes her eyes for just a moment, as the fire burns low and warm, you can let go. You can rest. You can simply be. The morning continues, not for you to witness, but for you to inhabit. And it is enough. Part 2, the fields at morning, tilling, sowing, and the rhythm of the soil. The old man walks across the damp earth of the common field, his boots leaving soft impressions in the soil, each step a quiet press into the world beneath him. The morning sun now rests gently on his shoulders, warm but not strong, filtering through a thin veil of cloud that stretches across the sky like a breath held. He moves slowly, not because his body resists, but because there is no reason to move faster. The field stretches before him, long, open, bordered by a line of hawthorn bushes and a low stone wall built generations ago by hands long turned to dust. This is not his land, nor does he claim it. It belongs to the village, to the rhythm of shared work and shared seasons. His oxen wait at the edge of the furrow, harnessed to the wooden plow, their breath rising in pale clouds in the cool air. They stand patiently, heads low, ears flicking at the occasional fly, their sides rising and falling with the deep, steady rhythm of animals that have never known hurry. He speaks to them softly, not in words, but in tone, a low hum in the back of his throat, familiar and calming. One of them lifts its head, blinks slowly, then lowers it again. He checks the harness, tugs gently at the straps to make sure they sit right, then places a hand on the broad, warm shoulder of the lead ox. The animal does not flinch. It knows this touch. It knows this man. They have walked this field together for 3 seasons now, turning the soil, row by row, year after year. He takes hold of the plow handles, worn smooth by countless hands, the wood darkened by sweat and rain and time. He braces himself, shifts his weight, and gives a quiet command. The oxen step forward. The plow cuts into the earth. And so begins the slow, steady work of preparing the ground for seed. The blade slices through the soil with a soft, wet sound, like cloth being parted, and a narrow strip of dark earth rolls over to the side. The furrow grows longer, one step at a time, each movement measured, unhurried. There is no race. No finish line. Only the next step. And the next. And the next. The sun climbs, but does not burn. A breeze moves through the field, carrying the scent of damp soil and wild thyme growing along the path. He walks behind the plow, guiding it with gentle pressure, correcting its lying when it drifts, his boots sinking slightly into the turned earth. His breath matches the pace of the oxen, slow, deep, even. There is a kind of meditation in this labor, a quietness of mind that comes from doing one thing, fully, without distraction. His thoughts do not race. They drift, like leaves on a pond. He remembers planting barley in this same field 10 years ago. He remembers the summer it rained for 7 days straight. He remembers the taste of fresh bread baked from last year's harvest. But these are not memories he clings to. They simply pass through, like clouds across the sky. A crow lands at the edge of the field, hops forward, pecks at something in the soil, then flies away. The plow continues. The furrow lengthens. The oxen breathe. The man walks. And the earth opens, ready to receive what will come. After a time, he pauses. He unhooks the oxen, leads them to a patch of grass at the edge of the field, and lets them drink from a wooden trough filled that morning by a neighbor. He sits on a stone, pulls a cloth-wrapped piece of cheese from his pocket, and eats it slowly, savoring the sharp, salty taste. He takes a drink from a leather flask of water, feels it cool his throat. He watches the oxen chew, their jaws moving side to side, their eyes half closed in contentment. A young woman approaches from the village path, carrying a sack over her shoulder. She is the miller's daughter, come to sow the first row. She nods to him, and he nods back. She does not speak, but he knows what she is here to do. She opens the sack, dips her hand into the grain, barley and rye mixed together, and begins to walk down the furrow, scattering the seeds in a slow, sweeping motion, her arm rising and falling like a pendulum. The seeds fall in arcs, some landing in the turned soil, others bouncing lightly before settling. She walks with care, not too fast, not too slow, spacing each step so the grain is evenly spread. Behind her, the wind catches a few stray seeds and carries them a short distance, where they will grow wild, unnoticed, unclaimed. She does not mind. Nothing is wasted. She reaches the end of the row, turns, and walks back, her feet following her own footprints. The old man watches her, then stands, reattaches the oxen, and begins the next furrow, parallel to the first. The plow cuts deeper this time, the soil softer now, easier to turn. The rhythm returns, the creak of the harness, the soft thud of hooves, the steady scrape of the blade. The sun is now high enough to warm the back of his neck. A butterfly flutters past, yellow and delicate, landing briefly on a dandelion before lifting away. The woman begins sowing the next row. The man follows behind with the plow. The field grows slowly, row by row, like a tapestry being woven with invisible thread. And you, listening, can feel the peace of this work, the absence of urgency, the presence of purpose without pressure. You can feel your breath slowing to match theirs, your body sinking deeper into stillness. There is no need to do anything. No need to be anywhere else. You are here, walking beside the plow, feeling the sun on your skin, hearing the quiet sounds of life unfolding at its own pace. And it is enough. The woman finishes sowing the second row and pauses, placing a hand on her lower back, breathing slowly as she stretches the stiffness from her muscles. She does not complain. She does not sigh. She simply stands for a moment, feeling the sun on her face, watching a wisp of cloud drift across the sky. Then she returns to the sack, lifts it gently onto her shoulder, and walks to the next furrow. The old man has already begun turning the soil there, the plow moving steadily, the oxen stepping forward with quiet obedience. She follows behind him, scattering the seeds with the same even rhythm, her arm rising and falling like the tide. Each motion is deliberate, but not forced. There is no strain in her body, only the comfortable familiarity of work that has been done 1,000 times before. A few birds follow at a distance, hopping along the freshly turned earth, pecking at insects stirred up by the plow. They do not come too close. They know the humans are not threats, but they keep their space, as all creatures do when the world is balanced. The man does not shoo them. He does not curse them. He knows some seeds will be eaten. That is the way of things. The earth gives, and the earth takes. Nothing is perfect. Nothing is wasted. The morning stretches on, not long, not short, just full. The sun moves across the sky, not rushing, not lingering. A sheep bell jingles faintly from the pasture beyond the hill. Somewhere, a baby cries, then quiets. The rhythm of the field continues, plow, sow, step, breathe. The woman finishes the third row and kneels to check the depth of the furrow, pressing her fingers into the soil. It is soft, cool, ready. She nods to herself, then stands and walks to the edge of the field, where a clay jug of water waits in the shade of a hawthorn bush. She drinks slowly, feeling the coolness spread through her chest, then pours a little into a wooden bowl for the old man. He takes it, thanks her with a quiet glance, and drinks deeply. He wipes his mouth with the back of his hand, sets the bowl down, and returns to the plow. The oxen wait patiently, their sides rising and falling, their eyes calm. He places his hands on the wooden handles once more, feels the familiar grooves beneath his palms, and gives the soft command. They step forward. The plow cuts into the earth. The furrow grows. The field expands, row by row, like a slow breath being drawn. The woman returns to her sowing, walking the next line with steady feet, her shadow stretching long behind her. A breeze moves through the field, rustling the young shoots of last year's wheat still standing at the edge, making a soft, whispering sound, like someone humming a half-remembered tune. The old man's boots press into the damp soil, leaving faint marks that will soon be gone, erased by rain, by wind, by time. But for now, they are there. Proof that he walked. that he worked, that he was present. And so are you. You are here, not as a watcher, but as someone who has stepped into this moment, who has let go of the noise, the rush, the endless doing. You are here, in this field, where the only task is to move forward, one step at a time. Where the only goal is to finish what must be done, without hurry, without regret. Where the only reward is the quiet satisfaction of labor completed, not for glory, but because it needed to be done. The sun begins to lower, not yet touching the hills, but casting a longer, softer light across the land. The shadows grow deeper, the colors richer, the green of the grass, the brown of the soil, the gold of the sky. The woman finishes the last row and ties the sack closed, tucking the end of the cloth into itself. She does not smile, but there is peace in her stillness. The work is not done, there will be more tomorrow, but this part is complete. The man unhitches the oxen, leads them to the trough again, and lets them drink. He pats their necks, murmurs a soft word, then begins to cover the plow with a tarp of oiled cloth to protect it from the night's damp. The woman gathers the empty bowl and jug, tucks them under her arm, and begins the slow walk back to the village. Her footsteps are quiet on the path, her body tired but not strained. She passes a man repairing a fence, his hammer tapping gently, rhythmically, like a heartbeat. She nods. He nods back. No words. Just the shared understanding of a day unfolding as it should. The old man follows later, walking slowly, his walking stick tapping the ground with each step. He looks back at the field, neat rows of turned earth, ready for rain, ready for growth. He does not think about the harvest. Not yet. That is months away. He thinks only of the fire waiting at home, the warmth of the cottage, the sound of his wife's voice. And you, listening, can feel it too, the deep contentment of work completed, not perfectly, not grandly, but honestly. You can feel your body relaxing further, your mind softening like the soil beneath the plow. There is nothing more to do. Nothing more to achieve. You are here, in this moment, in this field, where time moves slowly and the air is thick with peace. And as the last light falls across the furrows, as the birds return to their nests, as the village prepares for the quiet of evening, you can let go. You can rest. You can drift, like a seed carried by the wind, into the soft embrace of sleep. And it is enough. Part 3, The Hearth and the Home, Mending, Cooking, and Quiet Companionship. The woman returns to the cottage just as the sun begins to tilt behind the low hill to the west, casting a warm, golden light across the yard. The door is slightly ajar, and from within comes the soft crackle of the fire and the gentle hum of her mother stirring the pot. She steps inside, the wooden floor cool beneath her feet, the air thick with the scent of simmering onions, turnips, and a small piece of salted pork that has been soaking since morning to draw out the brine. She sets the jug and bowl by the hearth, unties her shawl, and hangs it on a wooden peg beside the door, where it sways slightly from the motion of her hand. Her mother does not turn, but nods, just once, as if sensing her presence without needing to see. The girl, now returned from tending the geese, sits on a low stool near the window, grinding a small batch of oats in a hand mill. The rhythmic turning of the stone wheels fills the room with a soft, continuous sound, steady, soothing, like a heartbeat heard through a wall. The woman removes her clogs, places them neatly beside the door, and walks to the chest where the mending basket sits, half covered by a linen cloth. She lifts the basket onto her lap, pulls out a woolen tunic, and examines the tear near the shoulder seam. The fabric is coarse, dyed a dull brown with walnut husks, worn thin in places, but still strong. She finds the spool of thread, dark, spawned from local sheep, and threads the needle with slow, careful fingers. She does not rush. There is no need. The light is still good, streaming through the oilcloth window, casting a soft glow on her hands. She begins to stitch, each pull of the thread smooth and even, the needle moving in and out with quiet precision. The sound of the fire pops softly, a small ember breaking apart, sending up a brief spiral of sparks. Outside, a chicken clucks, then scratches at the dirt. A dog barks once, far down the lane, then falls silent. The rhythm of the house is unhurried, familiar, like a lullaby repeated for years. The girl finishes grinding the oats and pours them into a clay jar, tapping the last few grains from the mill with the edge of a spoon. She places the mill aside, then picks up a piece of bread crust and begins to whittle it with a small knife, shaping it into a tiny bird, her fingers moving slowly, her eyes focused. No one speaks. There is no need. The silence is not empty. It is full of warmth, of presence, of the quiet comfort of being together without demand. The woman ties off the thread, bites it with her teeth, and holds the tunic up to the light. The repair is small, neat, nearly invisible. It will last. She folds the garment and places it back in the basket, then pulls out a pair of woolen socks, one with a hole in the heel. She sets to work again, her hands moving with the same unhurried care. The fire continues to burn, low and steady, casting flickering shadows on the walls, where the outline of a broom leans in the corner, and a clay pot rests on a shelf. The mother stirs the soup once more, lifts the spoon, tastes it, then adds a pinch of dried thyme from a cloth pouch. The smell deepens, richer now, wrapping around the room like a blanket. She wipes the spoon on the edge of her apron, hangs it back on its hook, and sits on a stool near the fire, her hands resting in her lap. She watches the flames, her face calm, her breathing slow. The girl sets down her knife, holds up the carved bird, turns it in the light, then places it on the windowsill, where it will dry. She wraps her arms around her knees, rests her chin on them, and watches the fire too. The cat, a gray tabby with one torn ear, jumps onto the wooden chest, curls into a tight circle, and closes its eyes. The only sounds now are the soft crackle of the fire, the faint creak of the floor as someone shifts, the slow, even breaths of those present. Time stretches, not heavy, not light, just there, like the warmth of the hearth. The woman finishes the sock, ties the thread, and places it with the tunic. She sets the basket aside, leans back, and closes her eyes for a moment, not sleeping, just resting. The mother stands, walks to the door, and looks out. The sky is now a soft lavender, streaked with pale orange near the horizon. A few stars appear, faint at first, then brighter as the light fades. She watches a neighbor close her shutters, then walk inside, a candle glowing behind her. She steps back, closes the door, and returns to the fire. The soup is ready. She ladles it into 3 wooden bowls, places a piece of bread beside each, and sets them on the table. The girl rises, the woman opens her eyes, and they gather around the table, hands folded, heads bowed. A quiet prayer is spoken, not long, not loud, just a few words of thanks for the food, the fire, the day. They eat slowly, savoring the warmth, the flavor, the silence between bites. There is no hurry. There is no need to finish. The meal is not grand, but it is enough. And you, listening, can feel the deep comfort of this moment, the safety of the home, the peace of simple nourishment, the quiet joy of being together without words. You can feel your body sinking deeper, your breath slowing, your mind softening like the bread soaking in the soup. There is nothing to do. Nothing to fix. Nothing to remember. You are here, in this cottage, where the fire burns low, where the food is plain, where the love is quiet but real. And it is enough. After the meal, the girl carries the bowls to the wash bucket, rinses them with warm water from the kettle, and sets them upside down on a cloth to dry. The woman rises. Slowly, stretches her back with a quiet breath, then walks to the corner where the spinning wheel stands, its wooden frame darkened by years of use. She pulls a small bundle of raw wool from a cloth sack, soft, off-white, carded smooth, and begins to prepare it for spinning. She pulls a few fibers loose, rolls them gently between her palms, then attaches the end to the spindle. With a practiced motion, she turns the wheel, the wooden treadle creaking softly under her foot, and begins to draw out the wool, feeding it slowly into the twist. The thread forms, fine and even, winding onto the bobbin with a quiet, rhythmic hum. The sound is hypnotic, steady, like a heartbeat heard through a wall, or rain falling on a roof in the middle of the night. The fire has settled now, burning down to a bed of glowing embers, their light softer, more intimate. The mother sits on a low stool, mending a child's shirt with tiny, careful stitches, her eyes close to the fabric, her needle moving in and out with quiet precision. The cat stirs on the chest, stretches one paw forward, then curls back into itself, tail wrapping around its nose. The woman at the spinning wheel glances at the window. The sky outside is now deep blue, almost black, the stars clear and steady above the thatched roof. A faint wisp of cloud drifts across the moon, then dissolves. Inside, the air is warm, still, thick with the scent of wool, wood smoke, and the lingering trace of soup. The girl returns from the wash, sits cross-legged near the fire, and picks up a piece of linen. She begins to hem a small cloth, her stitches small and even, her fingers moving slowly, guided by memory more than sight. No one speaks. The silence is not empty. It is full of presence, of care, of the quiet satisfaction of work done without hurry. The spinning wheel turns. The needle moves. The fire breathes. The stars watch. The woman pauses, checks the tension of the thread, adjusts it slightly, then continues. Her hands know this work. They have done it 1,000 times before. There is no thought and emotion, only the flow of muscle and memory, like breath, like walking, like the turning of the seasons. The mother finishes the shirt, bites the thread, and holds it up to the light. It is not perfect, the stitches are slightly uneven in one place, but it is strong. It will hold. She folds it and places it in a small wooden chest beside the bed, where other mended clothes wait. The girl finishes her hemming, runs her finger along the edge to check the line, then sets the cloth aside. She reaches for a wool blanket, unfolds it, and drapes it over her shoulders. The woman stops the spinning wheel, removes the full bobbin, and places it in a basket with others, all waiting to be woven. She winds a small length of thread around her fingers, ties it into a loop, and places it in a cloth pouch, perhaps a gift for a neighbor, or a spare for tomorrow. She stands, walks to the hearth, and adds a single log to the embers. The fire stirs, flickers, then settles into a slow, steady glow. The room darkens slightly, the shadows deepening in the corners, the light now centered on the hearth, like a small island in the night. The mother stands, stretches, then walks to the small cupboard and takes out a cup of water. She drinks slowly, then sets the cup down. The girl yawns, covers her mouth with her hand, then leans back against the wall, her eyes half closed. The woman stirs the fire once more, watches the flames rise, then kneels to bank the coals for the night. She covers them with a thin layer of ash, just enough to keep them alive until morning. She stands, brushes her hands on her apron, and looks around the room. The table is clear. The bowls are dry. The mending is done. The spinning is finished. The day has been lived, not perfectly, not dramatically, but fully. She walks to the door, opens it just a crack, and listens. The night is quiet, no wind, no distant voices, only the soft rustle of a mouse in the thatch above. She closes the door, turns the wooden latch, and walks to the bed. The mother and the girl are already lying down, wrapped in woolen blankets, their breathing slow and even. The woman slips under the covers beside them, feels the warmth of their bodies, hears the soft sound of the girl's breath, already drifting toward sleep. She closes her eyes. The fire glows faintly behind the ash. The stars shine above the village. The world is still. And you, listening, can feel it too, the deep peace of a home at rest, where nothing is missing, where nothing is needed, where the only task now is to let go. You can feel your body sinking, your thoughts slowing, your breath matching the quiet rhythm of the cottage. There is no past here. No future. Only this moment. Only this warmth. Only this stillness. And as the last ember fades behind the ash, as the stars blink softly above the thatched roof, as the village sleeps beneath the moon's gentle light, you can rest. You can release. You can slip, like a leaf on a quiet stream, into the soft, endless dark of sleep. And it is enough. Part 4, The Afternoon Walk, Gathering, Grazing, and the Whisper of Nature. The afternoon sun rests gently over the meadow beyond the barley field, casting a soft, golden light across the tall grass that sways in the faintest breath of wind. A young boy walks barefoot along the edge of the pasture, leading a small herd of goats on worn ropes of braided hemp. His feet know this path well, the cool dampness near the stream, the patch of warm stone in the sunlight, the occasional sharp pebble that makes him shift his step. He does not mind. He feels each sensation clearly, as if the earth is speaking to him through his soles. The goats move slowly, pausing to nibble at clover, at young nettles, at the tender shoots of wild garlic growing in the shade of the alder trees. Their bells chime softly with each movement, a quiet, irregular music that blends with the rustle of leaves and the distant call of a dove. The boy walks without hurry, his hands loose on the ropes, his eyes scanning the ground not for danger, but for what the earth offers. He stops near a patch of yarrow, its white flowers flat and open like tiny suns, and kneels to gather a few stems, placing them carefully in the cloth bag slung over his shoulder. The bag already holds mint, chickweed, and a small bundle of dried lavender from the garden, all to be used later, for tea, for salve, for the quiet care of the household. He presses the yarrow gently between his fingers, releasing its faint, earthy scent, then moves on. The path curves toward the stream, where the water runs clear and slow over smooth stones, each ripple catching the light like a flicker of silver. He sits on a flat rock, warm from the sun, and dips his feet into the water. It is cool, not cold, and the current brushes against his skin like a soft hand. A dragonfly hovers nearby, its wings catching the light in flashes of blue, then settles on a reed, still as a painted mark. The boy does not reach for it. He does not speak. He simply watches, his breath slow, his body relaxed. One of the goats steps into the shallows, lowers its head, and drinks, its tongue lapping at the surface in small, steady motions. The others linger at the bank, chewing slowly, their eyes half closed in contentment. The boy leans back on his hands, tilts his face to the sun, and closes his eyes. The light glows red through his eyelids. The air carries the scent of whetstone, crushed mint, and the faint musk of the goats. A bee hums past, low and lazy, searching for nectar in the clover. The water murmurs over the stones, a sound so constant it becomes part of the silence. Time here does not measure hours. It measures breath. It measures the slow turn of the sun. It measures the way a leaf falls, the way a ripple fades, the way a thought drifts and dissolves. The boy sits for a long while, not sleeping, not thinking, just being. He listens to the stream, to the wind in the reeds, to the occasional soft bleat of a goat. He feels the warmth of the rock beneath him, the coolness of the water around his feet, the gentle pull of the current. There is no need to move. There is no need to speak. The world is full, and he is part of it. After some time, he lifts his feet from the water, shakes them gently, and stands. He wraps a dry cloth around them, tucks it into his bag, then gathers the ropes once more. The goats rise slowly, stretch their legs, and follow as he walks along the stream's edge, the path winding through patches of tall grass and clusters of wildflowers, daisies, buttercups, purple vetch climbing over fallen branches. He moves with the same unhurried rhythm, his shadow stretching long behind him. A butterfly flutters past, yellow and delicate, landing briefly on a thistle before lifting away on the breeze. He watches it go, then turns his gaze to the hill beyond, where an old woman walks slowly through the underbrush, her basket in one hand, her walking stick tapping the ground with each step. She is gathering firewood, dry twigs, broken branches, anything the wind has left behind. The boy waits for her, letting the goats graze at the edge of the path. She approaches, her breath slow, her face lined with years of sun and wind, but her eyes are clear. She nods to him. He nods back. She does not speak, but he knows she is glad for the company, even if it is silent. They walk together for a time, side by side, not close, not far, just sharing the path. She adds a few more sticks to her basket, testing each one for dryness before picking it up. He watches her hands, gnarled, strong, moving with quiet purpose. She does not hurry. She does not tire. She simply gathers what is needed, one piece at a time. The sun begins to lower, casting a deeper gold across the meadow. The shadows grow longer, the air cooler. A bird calls from the treetop, soft, repeating, like a lullaby with no words. The boy breathes deeply, feeling the calm of the hour settle into his chest. He does not need to be anywhere else. He does not need to do anything more. He is here, on this path, with the goats, with the old woman, with the whispering grass and the quiet stream. And you, listening, can feel it too, the peace of a walk with no destination, the comfort of moving slowly through a world that asks nothing of you. You can feel your body relaxing, your breath deepening, your thoughts softening like the light on the water. There is no past here. No future. Only this step. Only this breath. Only this quiet companionship with the earth. And it is enough. The old woman pauses near a fallen oak, its trunk half buried in moss and ferns, and carefully breaks off a few dry branches, snapping them with quiet strength. She tests each piece in her hands, listening for the hollow sound that means it will burn well, then places them in her basket. The boy watches, not with curiosity, but with the quiet attention of someone who has seen this before and knows it is worth remembering. He steps closer, picks up a small twig that has fallen nearby, and adds it to her basket. She glances at him, her eyes softening just slightly, and gives a small nod, no more than a tilt of the chin, but it carries the weight of gratitude. They continue walking, the path now winding through a grove of birch trees, their white bark peeling in delicate curls, their leaves trembling in the faintest breath of wind. Sunlight filters through the canopy in scattered patches, dancing on the forest floor where mushrooms grow in quiet rings and beetles move slowly between fallen leaves. The goats follow behind, their bells chiming softly, their hoofs pressing into the damp earth. One of them stops to nibble at a patch of wild mint, releasing its sharp, clean scent into the air. The boy breathes it in, closes his eyes for a moment, and feels the coolness of the shade on his skin. The old woman moves slowly, her walking stick tapping the ground with each step, not for support alone, but as a kind of rhythm, steady, grounding, like the beat of a slow drum. She stops again near a patch of wood sorrel, its heart-shaped leaves bright green, its tiny yellow flowers closed in the late afternoon light. She kneels with care, her knees pressing into the soft moss, and gathers a small handful, placing it gently in her basket. The boy crouches beside her, touches a leaf between his fingers, then lets it go. He does not pick any. He does not need to. Just seeing it, knowing it is here, is enough. She stands again, brushes her hands on her apron, and continues forward. The path begins to rise slightly, leading toward the edge of the hill where the trees stand and the view opens to the village below. Smoke curls from several chimneys, thin and steady, blending with the haze of the fading day. A rooster crows from a distant farm, the sound soft and distant, like a memory. The goats slow their pace, sensing the turn toward home. The boy loosens the ropes slightly, allowing them to graze as they walk, their chewing slow, their eyes calm. The old woman walks beside him, her basket now full, her steps still steady. She does not speak, but her presence is a kind of comfort, like the warmth of a wall in the sun, like the sound of rain on a roof. They reach a flat stone near the edge of the woods, worn smooth by time and weather, and sit together in silence. The boy rests his chin on his knees. The old woman looks out over the village, her face relaxed, her breathing slow. The sun is now low, touching the tops of the hills, painting the sky in soft layers of pink, gold, and lavender. A bat flits across the field, silent and swift, hunting insects in the gathering dusk. The first star appears above the eastern trees, small and steady, like a pinprick of light in the fabric of the sky. The boy watches it, then closes his eyes. He listens, to the wind in the grass, to the distant low of a cow, to the soft rustle of a mouse in the underbrush. He feels the warmth of the stone beneath him, the cool air on his face, the quiet presence of the old woman beside him. There is no need to move. No need to speak. No need to remember. This moment is not for keeping. It is for living. And it is full. After a long while, the old woman stands, adjusts her basket on her arm, and begins the slow walk down the hill. The boy gathers the ropes, calls the goats gently with a soft hum, and follows. The path curves through the last stretch of meadow, where fireflies begin to flicker above the tall grass, their tiny lights blinking on and off like distant stars come down to earth. The air grows cooler, carrying the scent of dew and damp soil. The village grows closer, the thatched roofs, the stone well, the wooden gate. A dog lies in the doorway of a cottage, lifts its head, then lies back down. A child's voice sings a quiet lullaby from an open window, the words soft and half-remembered. The boy leads the goats into their pen, secures the gate, and pats the lead goat on the neck. The old woman walks toward her cottage, her shadow stretching long behind her. He watches her go, then turns and walks toward his own home, his feet quiet on the path. The sky is now deep blue, the stars bright and numerous, the moon a pale crescent above the trees. Inside the cottages, fires glow behind oiled cloth windows, casting soft squares of light onto the ground. The world is quiet. The day is ending. And you, listening, can feel it too, the deep calm of a walk completed, not for purpose, not for gain, but for the simple joy of moving through the world with care. You can feel your body sinking, your breath slowing, your mind softening like the earth under the night's first dew. There is nothing to do. Nothing to think. Nothing to be. You are here, on this path, in this village, where time moves slowly and the air is thick with peace. And as the last firefly fades into the grass, as the stars blink above the thatched roofs, as the earth breathes in the quiet of evening, you can let go. You can rest. You can drift, like a leaf on a still pond, into the gentle arms of sleep. And it is enough. Part 5, Evening Prayers and the Fading Light. The last light of day lingers in the western sky, a soft blush of rose and gray spreading above the tree line, slowly deepening into the hush of evening. Inside the cottage, the fire has been rebuilt with fresh logs, and its glow now fills the room with a warm, flickering light that dances across the walls and ceiling like silent hands moving in blessing. The woman sits on a low stool near the hearth, her hands resting in her lap, her eyes closed. Her mother stirs the pot one final time, then lifts the ladle and pours a small amount of soup into a shallow dish, placing it on the floor near the corner. The cat stirs, lifts its head, and pads softly over to eat, its movements slow and deliberate, its tail flicking once in quiet contentment. The girl sits cross-legged on a woolen blanket, her back against the wall, her breath already slowing, her eyelids heavy. She watches the flames, not with focus, but with a kind of soft surrender, as if letting the fire pull her thoughts into stillness. Outside, the world grows quieter, the chickens have settled into the coop, the goats into their pen, the last neighbor closing the shutters with a soft thud. A single cricket begins its song from the grass near the door, a steady, rhythmic chirping that blends with the crackle of the fire and the faint creak of the house settling into the night. The woman opens her eyes, reaches for a beeswax candle on the shelf, and lights it from the flame. She places it on the table, where its small, steady glow joins the firelight. Then she rises, walks to the door, and steps outside for a moment. The air is cool now, carrying the scent of dew and distant wood smoke. She looks up. The stars are clear, numerous, unmoving. The moon, thin and pale, rests just above the hill, casting a faint silver path across the field. She breathes in deeply, feels the stillness of the hour settle into her chest, then steps back inside and closes the door. The latch clicks softly. The cat finishes eating, licks its paws, then curls beside the hearth, tucking its nose under its tail. The woman returns to her stool, folds her hands, and bows her head. Her mother does the same. The girl follows, her hands small in her lap, her breathing slow and even. They do not speak for a long moment. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, the woman begins the evening prayer, words passed down through generations, familiar, soothing, not demanding belief, only presence. Thank you for the bread, for the fire, for the roof above us. Thank you for the hands that worked, the feet that walked, the hearts that rested. Keep us safe through the night. Let our sleep be deep. Let our dreams be kind. The words are simple. They do not ask for riches. They do not beg for miracles. They only give thanks for what was, for what is, for what will be, in its own time. When she finishes, no one speaks. The silence returns, deeper now, fuller, as if the room itself is holding its breath. The mother rises, pours a cup of warm water infused with chamomile and mint, and hands it to the girl. She sips it slowly, the steam rising to her face, the warmth spreading through her chest. The woman takes a cup for herself, sits again, and gazes into the fire. The flames flicker, casting shadows that move like silent figures across the walls, shapes that form and dissolve, like memories without names. The girl sets her cup down, wraps her arms around her knees, and rests her chin on them. Her eyes are half closed, her body softening with each breath. The woman watches her, then turns to her mother, who is mending a small tear in a linen cloth, her needle moving in and out with quiet rhythm, though the light is fading. She does not need to see. Her hands know the work. After a time, the woman speaks, not in prayer, but in story, her voice low, unhurried, like a stream moving over stones. She tells of a fox that once took an egg from the henhouse, not out of malice, but because her kits were hungry. She tells of the old priest who walked barefoot in the rain to visit a sick woman, and stayed with her until dawn. She tells of the year the river rose high and covered the lower field, and how, when the waters receded, the soil was richer for it. There are no lessons in these stories. No morals. No warnings. They are simply memories, soft, quiet, like the embers in the fire. The girl listens, not to remember, but to be held in the sound of the voice, in the rhythm of the words. Her breathing slows. Her head dips forward. The woman pauses, looks at her, and smiles faintly. She does not wake her. She lets her rest. The mother sets aside her mending, stands, and walks to the bed, a low wooden frame with a straw mattress and thick woolen blankets. She pulls back the covers, smooths the linen sheet, then returns to the fire. The woman rises, walks to the wash basin, dips a cloth in cool water, and wipes her face, feeling the freshness wake her skin one last time. She dries it with a soft towel, hangs it back on the peg, and returns to the hearth. The fire is lower now, burning with a quiet, steady glow. She adds one small log, just enough to last until sleep takes them. Then she walks to the bed, helps the girl lie down, pulls the blanket up to her shoulders, and tucks it gently around her. The cat stirs, jumps onto the foot of the bed, and curls into a circle. The mother lies down on the other side, her back to the wall. The woman slips under the covers beside them, feels the warmth of their bodies, hears the soft rhythm of their breathing. She closes her eyes. The candle flickers, then goes out on its own. The fire glows behind the ash. The stars watch through the thatch. The village sleeps. And you, listening, can feel it too, the deep peace of a home at rest, where nothing is missing, where nothing is needed, where the only task now is to let go. You can feel your body sinking, your breath slowing, your mind softening like the earth. Under the moon's light. There is no past here. No future. Only this moment. Only this warmth. Only this stillness. And as the last sound fades, the cricket's song, the ember's breath, the whisper of wind in the grass, you can rest. You can release. You can slip, like a leaf on a quiet stream, into the soft, endless dark of sleep. The cottage settles into the night, its timbers cooling slowly, the warmth of the day held within the thick walls like a memory. The fire, now reduced to a bed of soft red embers, pulses faintly beneath a thin layer of ash, releasing warmth in gentle waves that rise and fade like breath. No one stirs. The girl sleeps deeply, her face relaxed, one hand tucked beneath her cheek, her breathing slow and even. The cat shifts slightly at the foot of the bed, tucking its paws closer, its tail curling tighter around its body. The mother lies still, eyes closed, her chest rising and falling with the quiet rhythm of someone who has lived many evenings just like this, simple, unremarkable, full. The woman watches the darkness, not with wakefulness, but with a soft awareness, like the space between dreams. She does not think. She does not plan. She simply listens, to the faint creak of the house, to the distant hoot of an owl from the woods beyond the field, to the soft rustle of a mouse in the thatch above. The stars outside are countless now, bright and steady, scattered across the sky like salt spilled on dark cloth. The moon, low and pale, casts a silver wash across the yard, illuminating the path, the well, the edge of the garden where the cabbages stand like silent sentinels. A single leaf drifts down from the apple tree, caught in a slow spiral by the night air, and lands without sound on the damp earth. Inside, the silence is not empty. It is rich, with presence, with rest, with the deep comfort of a day lived without haste. The woman turns onto her side, facing the others, feeling the warmth of their bodies like a small sun in the dark. She pulls the blanket a little higher, tucks it gently around the girl's shoulder, then closes her eyes. Her breath slows, matching theirs. Her thoughts, once like leaves in a breeze, now settle one by one into stillness. She remembers the feel of the soil under the plow, the scent of mint by the stream, the sound of the spinning wheel turning in the firelight. But these are not memories she holds. They simply pass through, like clouds across the moon, leaving no trace. A soft wind brushes the side of the cottage, whispering through the eaves, a sound so faint it might be imagined. The embers glow once, then dim. The cat exhales in sleep, a small puff of air. The village is still. No dogs bark. No doors open. No voices rise. Even the stars seem to burn more quietly now, as if not to disturb the peace. The woman's breath grows deeper, slower, longer between each rise and fall. Her body sinks into the mattress, heavy with the day's honest work, soft with the comfort of home. She does not fight sleep. She does not call for it. She simply lets it come, like the tide returning to the shore, like the night wrapping around the earth. The last ember fades behind the ash. The candle remains unlit. The room is dark, but not cold. The warmth remains, in the blankets, in the breath of the sleeping, in the quiet love that needs no words. And you, listening, can feel it too, the deep, unshakable safety of a world at rest, where nothing is demanded, where nothing is missing, where you are not alone. You can feel your body letting go, muscle by muscle, thought by thought, like leaves falling one by one into still water. There is no need to stay awake. No need to remember. No need to be anywhere else. You are here, in this cottage, in this village, in this moment, where time moves slowly and the night holds you like a mother holds her child. The stars blink above. The wind sighs through the grass. The earth turns, silent and slow. And as the last trace of awareness dissolves into the soft dark, as the boundary between listening and dreaming fades like mist at dawn, you are no longer watching the story. You are in it. You are part of it. You are home. And you can sleep. You can rest. You can drift, like a seed carried by the wind, into the deep, quiet arms of the night. Part 6, Night falls, the village sleeps, and so can you. The village lies beneath the sky like a child tucked into bed, quiet, still, wrapped in the soft darkness of the hour. No light remains in the windows. No footsteps mark the paths. The fires in every cottage have burned down to embers, then to ash, then to silence. The stars shine with a calm, distant brightness, unmoving, watching over the fields, the thatched roofs, the stone well at the center of the lane. The moon, now low above the eastern hill, casts a pale silver glow across the barley field, where the turned furrows lie like lines in a forgotten book. A single owl glides over the meadow, wings wide and silent, hunting not with urgency, but with the patience of night itself. It lands on a fence post, turns its head slowly, listens, then lifts away again, vanishing into the trees. The air is cool, still, carrying the faint scent of dew and damp earth, of moss on stone, of wool blankets airing in the breeze. A fox moves along the edge of the woods, its paws making no sound on the soft ground, its eyes reflecting the starlight like tiny flames. It pauses, sniffs the air, then continues on, not in search of anything, but simply moving through the world it knows. Inside the cottage, the three figures lie beneath the woolen blankets, their breaths slow, deep, even. The girl sleeps without dreams, her face smooth, her hands relaxed. The cat breathes softly at the foot of the bed, one ear twitching at a distant sound only it can hear. The woman drifts deeper, her body heavy, her mind quiet, no longer holding even the shape of thought. She is not awake. She is not yet fully asleep. She is in the space between, where time slows, where the world softens, where the edges of the self blur like smoke in the air. Outside, a leaf falls from the apple tree, turning slowly as it descends, landing on the grass without a sound. A spider's web, strung between two posts, glistens with dew, each thread catching the starlight in tiny beads of light. The wind brushes through the tall grass, not strong enough to rustle, just enough to make the blades lean slightly, then return. The river murmurs over stones far beyond the hill, a sound so constant it becomes part of the silence. No one hears it. Everyone rests within it. The stars blink, one by one, like eyes closing in unison. The moon sinks lower, then slips behind the hill, leaving the sky deep and dark, full of quiet light. The earth turns, slow and steady, carrying the village into the deepest part of the night. No clocks mark the hour. No voices call. No worries rise. There is only this, stillness, safety, the gentle rhythm of breath and heartbeat, the warmth of blankets, the softness of sleep. And you, listening, can feel it too, the deep release of the body, the quieting of the mind, the slow surrender to the dark. You do not need to stay awake. You do not need to follow every word. You can let them go, like leaves on a stream, like smoke into the sky. You can stop holding on. You can stop trying. You can simply be carried, gently, into the arms of rest. The cottage sleeps. The village sleeps. The fields sleep. The trees sleep. The stars watch, but do not disturb. The night holds you. The earth supports you. You are safe. You are not alone. You are here, in this quiet world, 8 centuries away, yet so close, so familiar, so kind. And as the last trace of awareness fades, as the breath slows, as the body sinks deeper into the bed, into the moment, into the peace, you do not fall asleep. You are not pulled into it. You simply arrive. Like a leaf landing on still water. Like a sigh at the end of a long day. Like a hand resting on a warm stone in the sun. There is no effort. No struggle. No thought. Only the soft dark. Only the quiet breath. Only the endless, gentle hush of a world at rest. And you are part of it. And you can sleep. And you can rest. And you can stay here, in this quiet village, beneath this ancient sky, where nothing is asked of you, where nothing is needed, where you are already enough. And as the night wraps around you, as the stars blink above, as the earth breathes beneath you, sleep well, gentle traveler. Sleep deeply. Sleep peacefully. The village dreams with you. And it is enough. The darkness now is complete, not heavy, not cold, but soft, like a blanket drawn over the world. The cottage rests in silence, its timbers settled, its hearth cool, its air still. The three figures lie beneath the woolen covers, their breaths slow and deep, each inhalation a quiet rise, each exhalation a gentle release. The girl stirs slightly, turns her face into the pillow, then settles again, her lips parting just enough to let her breath flow without effort. The cat shifts at the foot of the bed, tucks a paw closer to its body, and exhales in a soft puff of air, its dreams small and wordless. The woman's body has fully relaxed, her arms loose at her sides, her fingers slightly curled, her face smooth, unlined by thought. She does not dream of the field, or the plow, or the path by the stream. She does not dream at all. She is simply here, in the deep quiet, where even dreams are too loud. Outside, the night continues its slow, unhurried turn. A bat flits across the meadow, silent and swift, hunting in the dark with a rhythm older than memory. A hedgehog moves through the underbrush near the garden, snuffling softly as it searches for beetles, its small body brushing against the damp grass. No one sees it. No one needs to. It moves through the world as it should, quietly, carefully, without demand. The stars remain, bright and distant, their light traveling for centuries just to rest on the thatch of a cottage in a forgotten village. The air is cool, but not cold, carrying the faint scent of moss, of wet stone, of the last trace of wood smoke clinging to the chimney. A single leaf trembles on a branch, touched by a breath of wind so soft it would not ruffle a feather. Then it stills. The river murmurs in the distance, a sound so constant it has become part of the earth's voice, like the pulse beneath skin. No one listens. Everyone rests within it. Time here does not measure minutes. It measures breath. It measures the slow cooling of the hearth. It measures the way a body sinks deeper into sleep, layer by layer, like silt settling in a still pond. The village is not asleep because it chose to be. It is asleep because it is natural. Because the day has passed. Because the work is done. Because the body knows when to rest. And you, listening, can feel that same knowing in yourself. You do not need to try. You do not need to force. You do not need to stay present. You can simply let go, like a hand opening in the dark, like a breath released after being held too long. There is no one watching. No one waiting. No one asking anything of you. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not falling. You are here. You are safe. You are held. The earth turns beneath you. The stars shine above you. The night wraps around you like a soft, endless blanket. And as your breath slows, as your thoughts dissolve, as the space between words grows longer and quieter, you are no longer listening to the story. You are inside it. You are walking the path by the stream. You are sitting by the fire. You are lying in the cottage, warm beneath the wool, surrounded by those who do not need you to speak, to move, to be anything at all. You are simply allowed to rest. And that is enough. The fox returns to its den beneath the roots of an old oak, curls into a circle, and closes its eyes. The owl perches in the highest branch, still as a statue, watching the dark with quiet wisdom. The moon has vanished. The stars remain. The wind pauses. The world holds its breath. And you, gentle listener, can do the same. You can stop holding on. You can stop carrying the day. You can let it all go, every thought, every worry, every memory, like leaves falling into still water, sinking without sound, disappearing into the soft dark below. There is no need to follow them. No need to remember. No need to wake. Sleep is not something you enter. It is something you return to, like a home you've always known, like a breath you've always taken, like a silence that has always been waiting for you. And it is here now. It is close. It is kind. It is deep. And as the last trace of awareness fades, as the body becomes weightless, as the mind dissolves into the quiet hum of the night, you are not alone. The village dreams with you. The earth breathes with you. The stars watch over you. And you can rest. You can sleep. You can stay. And when you wake, whenever that may be, you will carry this peace with you, like a small stone warmed by the sun, like a whisper heard in the dark, like a memory of a place that was never real, but felt like home. Sleep well, gentle traveler. The night is long. The village remains asleep beneath the quiet sky, wrapped in the deep hush of the night. The stars continue their slow journey across the darkness, silent and steady, watching over the fields, the cottages, the winding path by the stream. The air is still, cool, carrying only the faintest breath of wind through the grass, the occasional rustle of a mouse in the thatch, the soft sigh of the earth settling into rest. Inside the cottage, the fire is long gone, the hearth now cool and dark, but the warmth remains, in the blankets, in the breath of those sleeping, in the quiet love that needs no words. No one wakes. No one stirs. The night holds them, safe and close, like a hand cradling something precious. And you, gentle listener, are still here, though perhaps you are no longer listening with your mind. Perhaps you are already drifting, already resting, already part of this quiet world. And that is exactly where you are meant to be. There is no need to return. No need to remember. No need to do anything at all. You can stay in this soft darkness, in this slow, steady breath, in this place where time does not matter and nothing is asked of you. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not too much or too little. You are simply here. And that is enough. The stars blink above. The earth turns. The night continues, long and peaceful, holding you like a lullaby without sound. Sleep deeply, traveler. Rest well. And whenever you return, whenever you wake, know that this quiet village will still be here, waiting in the soft dark, ready to welcome you back. Good night.